My name is Emma Wilson. 5 years ago, my father publicly humiliated me in front of hundreds of people. That day changed my life forever. At the time, I was 26 years old and worked as a kindergarten teacher. I love my job. Every morning, I woke up excited to help children learn and grow. But to my father, that meant nothing. My father, Robert Wilson, was a wealthy businessman. He believed success was measured by money, expensive cars, and luxury homes. If you didn't have those things, he thought you were a failure. My older brother, Ethan Wilson, was a successful investment banker. My younger sister, Chloe Wilson, had married a millionaire. Then there was me, the daughter who earned the least. The daughter my father never seemed proud of. Every family dinner felt like an interview I could never pass. "Look at Ethan," Dad would say. "He's making 6 figures." Then he'd turn to Chloe. And Chloe married a man who owns 3 companies. Finally, his eyes would land on me. "And Emma teaches children how to color." Everyone laughed. I laughed too. But inside, it hurt. A lot. For years, I hoped things would change. I hoped one day my father would see my worth. But I was wrong. The breaking point came during my father's retirement celebration. It was the biggest event our family had ever hosted. More than 200 guests attended. Business owners, politicians, wealthy friends. The ballroom looked like something from a movie. I spent extra time getting ready. I wore my best dress. I even bought a gift I could barely afford. When I arrived, I noticed my father staring at me. His expression immediately changed. He walked over and whispered, "Emma, we need to talk." I followed him into a quiet hallway. Then he said words I'll never forget. "Maybe you shouldn't stay." I stared at him. "What do you mean?" He sighed. "Most of the people here are important." I felt my stomach tighten. "So?" He looked embarrassed. "You're a teacher, Emma." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then he said it. "Please leave before you embarrass me." For a moment, the world went silent. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My own father was ashamed of me. Not because I was a bad person. Not because I had done something wrong. Simply because I wasn't rich. Tears filled my eyes. But I refused to let him see me cry. I handed him the gift, turned around, and walked away. Nobody stopped me. Not Ethan. Not Chloe. Nobody. That night, I cried harder than I ever had before. Then I made a promise to myself. I would never again seek validation from people who couldn't see my value. The next morning, I started planning my future. I loved teaching, but I also loved creating educational materials. So, after work, I began recording lessons and posting them online. At first, nobody watched. 10 views, 20 views, 30 views. Most videos failed completely. People told me to quit. Some even laughed at me. But I kept going. Every night after work, I created more content. Every weekend, I studied marketing and business. Months turned into years. Then something amazing happened. One of my videos went viral. A school district shared it. Then another. Then another. Within weeks, millions of people had seen my content. Teachers from across the country started contacting me. Parents loved the lessons. Soon, companies wanted partnerships. I launched my own educational platform. Then an app. Then a publishing company. 5 years after being thrown out of my father's party, I had built a business worth millions. I employed over 100 people. I owned a beautiful office. I was financially secure. But despite everything, I never forgot that night. One rainy afternoon, my assistant knocked on my office door. "Emma?" "Yes?" "There's someone here asking to see you." I looked up. "Who is it?" She hesitated. Then she said, "It's your father." My heart skipped a beat. I hadn't seen him in years. When the door opened, I barely recognized him. The confident businessman was gone. His shoulders were bent. His suit looked old. His hair had turned gray. He seemed exhausted. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, he broke the silence. "Hello, Emma." "Hello, Dad." He slowly looked around my office. The awards, the employees, the success. Everything he once believed I'd never achieve. Then he lowered his head and quietly said, "I need your help." I was shocked. My father never asked anyone for help. Ever. He sat down and explained everything. A series of bad investments had destroyed his savings. Business partners had betrayed him. The company he spent decades building had collapsed. Worst of all, Ethan and Chloe wanted nothing to do with him. The children he always praised had disappeared when he needed them most. The room became silent. Part of me felt angry. I remembered every insult, every comparison, every painful family dinner. Then my father looked directly at me. His eyes filled with tears, and he said something I never expected. "I'm sorry." His voice shook. "I spent years treating you like you weren't enough." Tears rolled down his face. "I was wrong. You were always the strongest one." For the first time in my life, I saw genuine regret. Not pride, not arrogance, just regret. I had a choice to make. I could make him suffer the way I had suffered, or I could become the person he never managed to be. After a long silence, I stood up. My father looked terrified. Then I walked toward him and hugged him. He immediately broke down crying. Years of guilt poured out all at once. "I forgive you," I whispered. That day, I helped him financially. But more importantly, I gave him something money could never buy: a second chance. Over the next year, our relationship slowly healed. It wasn't perfect. Some scars never completely disappear. But for the first time, we were honest with each other. One evening, we sat together watching the sunset. My father looked at me and said, "You know what losing everything taught me?" "What?" He smiled sadly. "That I spent my life chasing money, while ignoring the people who truly loved me." I squeezed his hand, and for the first time in decades, there was peace between us. A year later, my father passed away peacefully. Before he died, he left me a handwritten letter. In it, he wrote, "Emma, I spent years believing success was measured by wealth. You taught me that true success is measured by kindness, courage, and character. I should have been proud of you from the very beginning." I still keep that letter today. Whenever life gets difficult, I read it again. Because sometimes the people who hurt us the most end up teaching us the greatest lessons. And sometimes, forgiveness is the greatest victory of all.